New this morning, a rock that was just closely analyzed by NASA's Perseverance rover could hold the answer to the question of life on Mars.
Space probes like Curiosity that's on Mars at the moment, that's really cheap compared to sending people to Mars.
And NASA's Perseverance rover may have made an extraordinary discovery, signs of ancient life on Mars. The six-wheeled robotic explorer has found a rock that may harbour fossilised microbes that lived on the red planet billions of years ago.
What you are seeing here is not some rocky, barren area from some faraway place on Earth. No, this is actually Mars. 13 years ago, NASA deployed the Curiosity rover on Mars, and then 3 years ago, they sent another rover, Perseverance, to join the mission. These rovers were sent to map the planet and study its surface. And now finally, they have sent back some super incredible footage that is simply mind-blowing. So what exactly are we seeing here? And what else have these rovers been up to since they touched down on the red planet? The first Mars exploration. Our fascination with Mars, or what we like it to call the red planet, has been around for centuries. But it wasn't until the space age that we could get a closer look. The first successful mission to Mars was the Mariner 4, which was launched by NASA in 1964. This was a flyby mission, and it sent back the first close-up photos of Mars. This is when we first got to know that Mars has a cratered, moon-like surface. It was a big achievement that ignited our thirst for more knowledge about our neighboring planet. In the years that followed, several other missions were launched. The Viking missions in the 1970s were particularly impressive. Viking 1 and Viking 2 both landed on Mars and conducted experiments to look for signs of life. Although they didn't find definitive evidence of life, they provided a wealth of information about Mars' soil, atmosphere, and weather patterns. Mars exploration has come a long way since those early missions. Each mission is built on the successes and lessons of the ones before it. The 1990s saw the Mars Pathfinder mission, which delivered the Sojourner rover. This was a small six-wheeled rover that could move around and analyze rocks and soil. It was a huge step forward, demonstrating that we could not only land on Mars, but also move around and explore its surface. The 2000s brought even more ambitious missions. The Mars Global Surveyor orbited the planet and mapped its surface in detail. The Mars Odyssey mission, which was launched in 2001, discovered large amounts of hydrogen just below the Martian surface. This was a great discovery as it indicated the presence of water ice. Each of these discoveries hinted at the possibility of life on Mars, either in the past or present, and certainly suggested that humans could one day live there. But why is studying Mars so important? Why don't we go to Venus or Mercury? Well, for one, Mars is the most Earth-like planet in our solar system. It has seasons, polar ice caps, and weather patterns. Understanding Mars can help us understand more about our own planet's history and future. Other than that, Mars has the potential to be a future home for humanity. As Earth faces challenges like climate change and overpopulation, Mars can give us a possible second home for humans. But before we can think about colonizing Mars, we need to understand it better. That's where these missions come in. NASA's rover missions have been at the forefront of Mars exploration. These rovers are like robotic scientists who are given tools to study the Martian surface and environment in detail. The program began with the Sojourner rover, which was part of the Mars Pathfinder mission. It was followed by the twin rovers Spirit and Opportunity, which landed on Mars in 2004. These rovers were designed to last 90 days but ended up exploring for years. Spirit explored the Gusev crater, while Opportunity made incredible discoveries in the Meridiani Planum region, including evidence of past water activity. With these successes, NASA decided to build its best rovers ever. They aimed to push the boundaries of what we know about Mars and seek answers to new questions. So, what new rovers did they create after Spirit and Opportunity? The Curiosity rover. The first next-generation range rover sent to Mars by NASA was Curiosity. On November 26, 2011, NASA launched the Curiosity rover as part of the Mars Science Laboratory mission. After a 9-month journey, Curiosity landed on Mars on August 6, 2012. The landing site was Gale Crater. It was chosen because scientists thought it might have once had water and possibly life. And that descent and landing, it was so tense, so stressful that it is now called the 7 Minutes of Terror. It involved a complex sequence of events, including a sky crane maneuver, which had never been tried before. Despite the risks, the landing was a success, and Curiosity sent back its first images from the Martian surface. This marked the beginning of a new era in Mars exploration. Curiosity has all kinds of gadgets to help with its exploration. It is about the size of a car, measuring 10 feet long, 9 feet wide, and 7 feet tall, and weighs nearly 2,000 pounds. One of its amazing features is the ChemCam. This tool uses a laser to zap rocks and soil, turning them into gas so it can study their makeup. You can also think of it as a laser gun that can analyze what things are made of from a distance. Another incredible tool is the Sample Analysis at Mars, or SAM. This is its tiny lab that can analyze the chemical makeup of samples, including checking for organic compounds, which are super important for finding out if there was ever life on Mars. Curiosity is powered by a special power source called a radioisotope thermoelectric generator, or RTG. This power source converts heat from the decay of plutonium-238 into electricity. It means Curiosity can keep going day and night through all seasons without running out of juice. Now, creating all these gadgets for Curiosity was no cheap task. The whole Mars Science Laboratory mission, including Curiosity, cost about $2.5 billion. So that's a lot of money, but the mission has given us tons of amazing info about Mars, making it worth every penny. But why did they name it Curiosity? Well, naming a rover is a big deal for NASA, and they love to get kids involved. For Curiosity, they held an essay contest for students all over the US in 2009. The kids had to come up with a name and write about why they chose it. A 6th grader from Kansas named Clara Ma won the contest. She suggested the name Curiosity. In her essay, Clara wrote, "Curiosity is an everlasting flame that burns in everyone's mind. It makes me get out of bed in the morning and wonder what surprises life will throw at me that day." Curiosity is such a powerful force. Without it, we wouldn't be who we are today. Curiosity is the passion that drives us through our everyday lives. We have become explorers and scientists with our need to ask questions and to wonder. NASA loved how she captured the spirit of exploration, so they chose her name for the rover. It is a great way to remind everyone that exploration and discovery are for all of us. So with all that money and high-tech gear, what has Curiosity found on Mars? The discoveries by Curiosity. Curiosity's mission on Mars has been nothing short of spectacular. It has made a series of discoveries that have improved our understanding of the red planet. Did you know Curiosity detected organic compounds on Mars? Curiosity took some rock samples from Gale Crater and found out that these rocks had organic compounds. These organic molecules, which contain carbon, could potentially be used as building blocks and food for life. But why was this discovery so meaningful? Well, the presence of organic compounds on Mars tells us that the planet might have once supported life, even if it never actually did. Scientists found that the isotopes in carbon dioxide and methane could be consistent with ancient biological activity, but they could also result from non-life processes, like interactions between sunlight and carbon dioxide in Mars' atmosphere. This discovery motivates ongoing and future studies, not just with Curiosity, but with other missions looking for signs of life beyond Earth. Curiosity also detected fluctuations in the amount of methane in the near-surface atmosphere of Mars. On Earth, most methane in the atmosphere comes from biological processes, but we don't know if that's the case on Mars. While Curiosity cannot tell us if the methane it found is from biological sources, it did give us a little proof that some biological process might be occurring on Mars. Other than all this, Curiosity's mission was to determine both the formation and exposure age of a rock on Mars. The rocks around Gale Crater formed about 4 billion years ago and then were moved to Yellowknife Bay, where they became sedimentary rocks. About 70 million years ago, weathering and erosion exposed these rocks to surface radiation. This information helps scientists understand Mars' erosion rates and consider how radiation might affect organic compounds in the rocks, which could influence the identification of potential biosignatures. Curiosity also gave us insights into Mars' watery past. Water is important for life, and the rocks in Gale Crater show a rich history of water. For example, Curiosity has found jarosite here, which is a mineral that only forms in watery environments. This indicates that there was water on Mars. An age-dating experiment found a jarosite that was much younger than expected, suggesting that liquid water might have remained below the surface even as the planet was drying out. This could mean that Mars had habitable conditions for a longer period than previously thought. Other than this, Curiosity has shown us how Mars lost its atmosphere and transformed from a warm, wet planet to the cold, dry one we see today. By measuring the ratio of deuterium to hydrogen in water samples, Curiosity provided evidence of hydrogen escape and water loss over time. This helps scientists understand the planet's long-term climate changes. After this, Curiosity also detected biologically useful nitrogen on Mars, and what it found was so surprising. You see, on Earth, nitrogen is essential for life, but it needs to be in a fixed form to be usable. Curiosity found fixed nitrogen in the form of nitrate in rock samples. This suggests that usable nitrogen was present on Mars 3.5 billion years ago. This is what kept Martian life forms alive. All these Curiosity's findings are compelling, which is why in 2022, NASA extended Curiosity's mission at least into 2025. But Mars is too big and a little rover cannot study it all, which is why NASA decided to launch their second rover. How was this next rover different from Curiosity? The Perseverance rover. After Curiosity, NASA sent its Perseverance rover to Mars. It was launched on July 30th, 2020 and landed on February 18th, 2021. The landing site this time was Jezero Crater. It was chosen because it is believed to have once been a place of an ancient river delta and lake, making it an ideal location to search for signs of past life. The landing process was an edge-of-your-seat event. Perseverance entered Mars' atmosphere at a speed of about 12,000 miles per hour. Like Curiosity, it had to endure the 7 minutes of terror as it slowed down, deployed a parachute, and executed a sky crane maneuver to gently place itself on the Martian surface. This complex sequence of events had to be performed autonomously, as the distance between Earth and Mars makes real-time communication impossible. Everything went smoothly, and Perseverance touched down safely, ready to begin its mission. Now let's talk about its incredible engineering and technology. Perseverance is about the size of a car, similar in dimensions to its predecessor, Curiosity, but with some significant upgrades. The rover is equipped with a suite of advanced scientific instruments designed to study the Martian surface in unprecedented detail. One of its amazing features is the Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, or MOXIE. What does it do? Well, you will have to wait for a few minutes to find out. For now, let's have a look at its sophisticated set of cameras and sensors. It has 19 cameras, the most ever sent to Mars, which allow it to capture high-definition images and videos of the Martian terrain. These cameras help scientists back on Earth study the planet's geology and look for signs of ancient microbial life. Perseverance also carries a drill to collect rock and soil samples, which will be stored in sealed tubes for potential return to Earth by a future mission. The rover's wheels have been redesigned for better durability and traction. This is important because the Martian surface can be extremely rough, and Perseverance needs to navigate it effectively to carry out its scientific tasks. Its power source, like Curiosity's, is a radioisotope thermoelectric generator, which converts heat from the decay of plutonium-238 into electricity. It allows the rover to operate continuously through all seasons. Now let's talk about how Perseverance got its name. NASA once again turned to students for inspiration. In 2019, they launched a Name the Rover essay contest, where they invited students across the United States to propose names and explain their choices. The winning entry came from a 7th grader named Alexander Mather. He chose the name Perseverance, based on the fact that we humans have been enduring challenges and pushing forward for centuries, which he felt was important for space exploration. NASA loved how the name captured the spirit of the mission, and thus the rover was christened Perseverance, or nicknamed Percy. The coolest thing about Perseverance was that it was sent with a little sidekick, the Ingenuity helicopter. But why was it equipped with a helicopter when it had 19 cameras of its own? The Ingenuity helicopter. Ingenuity arrived on Mars on February 18, 2021, attached to the underside of the Perseverance rover. It was a great experiment. The scientists wanted to see if we could actually fly a helicopter on Mars, where the atmosphere is just 1% as dense as Earth's. Initially, Ingenuity was only supposed to make 5 flights over 30 sols, which are Martian days. These test flights were designed to prove that controlled flight in Mars' thin atmosphere was possible. Each flight lasted up to 90 seconds, reaching altitudes between 10 to 16 feet. But Ingenuity far exceeded expectations. After successfully completing its initial 5 flights, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory devised a series of operational flights to see how this tiny helicopter could assist in exploring Mars. Ingenuity began scouting areas of interest for Perseverance. It improved navigational techniques and tested the limits of its flight capabilities. This aerial scouting provided valuable information that ground-based rovers alone could not easily obtain, like the best paths to travel or interesting geological features to investigate. The technology behind Ingenuity is quite remarkable. It weighs just 4 pounds and features counter-rotating blades that spin at about 2,400 revolutions per minute, much faster than helicopters on Earth due to the thin Martian atmosphere. Ingenuity also has solar panels to recharge its batteries, which allow it to operate independently. It is also equipped with a navigation camera and a communication system to relay data back to Perseverance, which then sends it to Earth. Over nearly 3 years, Ingenuity completed 72 flights, far surpassing its initial goal. It flew for a total of 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 48 seconds over 1,004 Martian days, covering more than 17 kilometers. This performance in the harsh conditions of Mars demonstrated not only its resilience, but also the feasibility of using aerial scouts for planetary exploration. However, on January 18, 2024, during its 72nd flight, Ingenuity's rotor blades were damaged while landing, grounding the helicopter permanently. NASA announced the end of its mission a week later. Despite this, Ingenuity made so many incredible discoveries with Perseverance. What did they find together on the surface of Mars? The discoveries by Perseverance. When it was decided that Perseverance was going to land on Jezero crater, scientists were not sure what kind of rocks they would find on the floor of this crater. Some thought it might be an ancient lava flow, while others believed the rocks were likely sedimentary, transported by wind or water. During its first year on Mars, Perseverance made a surprising discovery. It found several types of igneous rock, including lava flows and rocks that crystallized from slow-cooling magma. These igneous rocks contain crystals that reveal when and how they formed. They showed evidence of interaction with water, suggesting they could record conditions that might have been suitable for microbial life. If these samples are returned to Earth, scientists could learn more about Mars' interior, volcanic history, and the age of geological formations in Jezero crater. On February 16, 2022, the rover captured a panoramic view of an area nicknamed Santa Cruz. This panorama, made from 24 images, gave scientists a closer look at the boulders and landscape in Jezero crater. After that, at a rock named Wildcat Ridge, within Jezero's well-preserved sedimentary fan deposit, Perseverance found evidence of an ancient lake environment. These sediments were likely deposited in a standing body of water and continued to interact with water long after their formation. The environments recorded in these rocks would have been habitable for ancient microbial life, and this type of rock is perfect for preserving potential signs of ancient life. Perseverance has also revealed a more complex history of water in Jezero crater than scientists initially thought. They already knew a lake once filled the crater, but new images from Perseverance showed that sediments were deposited in a delta, indicating a dynamic water history. The rover also found evidence of high-energy flooding that carried large boulders into the crater. They don't know the origin of these later floods yet. Other than the geological discoveries, Perseverance achieved a technological milestone with the MOXIE. Remember, we talked about this technology earlier. So what does this device do? Well, this device produced oxygen from the carbon dioxide in Mars' atmosphere for the first time. Over 16 runs, MOXIE produced about 4 ounces or 122 grams of oxygen, which is enough to support an astronaut for roughly 4 hours. Can you believe it? It means we can create our own oxygen on the surface of Mars. After 2 years of operation, MOXIE completed its final run in September 2023. Another fascinating achievement was listening to the sounds on Mars. For the first time, scientists could hear the Martian environment using microphones on Perseverance. The rover recorded sounds like the wind, and the operation of its dust removal tool. These recordings revealed that the speed of sound on Mars is slower than on Earth due to the thin carbon dioxide atmosphere. The volume of sounds also changes with the atmospheric pressure, which changes with the seasons. During low-pressure seasons, the microphone gave nothing. It was almost complete silence. Sounds that are easily heard on Earth would be quieter and more muffled on Mars, and high-pitched noises like whistles would be hard to hear. This new form of analysis provides insights into the atmospheric dynamics and seasonal changes on Mars, as well as the overall functionality of the rover. Perseverance did not make these discoveries alone. Ingenuity helped it all the way. In fact, all three of these rovers have sent some incredible evidence back to Earth. This is the most recent video sent by these rovers to NASA. The first 360-degree view was acquired by the Curiosity Mars rover, and the last panoramic view was captured by the Perseverance rover from the final airfield of the Mars Ingenuity helicopter, all in stunning 4K video. These are some incredible views of the red planet. Other than the ongoing successful operations of these rovers, what has NASA planned for the future? Upcoming missions. As we look ahead to the future of Mars exploration, there is a lot to be excited about. NASA's rovers, which are currently exploring the red planet, are gathering samples that scientists hope will hold clues to Mars' ancient history and potential for past life. However, these samples won't make it back to Earth until 2033 at the earliest. These samples will be brought back by the Mars Sample Return Program. This program is a major project by NASA. The plan involves several steps to safely and efficiently get the samples collected by Perseverance and Curiosity back to Earth. Here is how it will work. A lander will touch down on Mars and pick up the samples that Perseverance and Curiosity have gathered. These samples will then be launched into Mars orbit to meet up with an orbiter, which will carry them back to Earth. This mission is super important because it will allow scientists to study Martian samples in detail with all the high-tech tools we have on Earth. Interestingly, while the samples are being sent back to Earth, the rovers themselves will stay on Mars. Curiosity, which has already made big discoveries about the planet's habitability, will continue its mission alongside Perseverance. Both rovers will keep exploring and running experiments on the Martian surface. But collecting samples is not the only goal. There is a bigger dream: living on Mars. NASA is working fast on this, with plans to eventually send humans to Mars. And they are not alone in this ambition. Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX, has some big plans to colonize Mars. Musk imagines a future where people live on Mars in self-sustaining colonies. SpaceX has been developing the Starship spacecraft, which is designed to carry humans to Mars and other destinations. Starship is a reusable spacecraft that can carry a lot of people and cargo, making it a key part of Musk's plan to build a human settlement on Mars. Other than building the Starship, Musk has ideas for creating habitats on Mars, including using local resources to produce water, oxygen, and building materials. The goal is to create a self-sustaining environment where people can live and thrive without relying on Earth. NASA is working with SpaceX on several projects, including developing technology and strategies for human missions to Mars. We are moving fast with our exploration of Mars, and both NASA and SpaceX are also aiming to colonize the red planet. This means developing the technology and infrastructure needed to support long-term human habitation. Would you like to live on Mars? Do you think it will ever be possible? Let us know in the comments below. If you want more mysteries uncovered, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel, because we have got a lot more of this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.